So Petra Lewis here. I'm just going to do a quick video on how and why to record presentations in PowerPoint. PowerPoint, the newer versions of PowerPoint, both on Mac and PC, Mac's taken a while to get there, have a great little recording function built in. You don't need any external software, and it's really made this a lot easier for people who are not even very technically adept. So let's start. So first of all, why would you even want to do this? Well, you want to increase your audience. You give a lecture to, 10 students or 100 students or 20 residents, where you can increase your audience to hundreds or thousands of person versus how many you can do in person. You can distribute these nationally. You can distribute these internationally, depending on what site you do. And you're then going to have internationally distributed scholarly activity. And this is super important to build your CV or your education portfolio. And you can get metrics from the number of online views and downloads that you can incorporate into those portfolios. These are super useful to do, to record for pre-learning for flipped classrooms. You can record a little didactic 20-minute video, and then you can spend your time on more active learning things. I use a lot of very short videos, so 1 to 5 minutes for just-in-time learning for my trainees that they can just link out from our departmental site, so I don't have to say the same things again and again. And so you have some topic come up, a little learning thing on, say, how to protocol CVs better, or in my case, some technical skills in doing a breast biopsy, and you just point them to that and they can just look at that between cases. And you can provide long-lasting resources for other faculty, for other trainees, and I think this is great in the terms of distributing, our educational knowledge to others. And, well, damn it, we put so much work into putting these things together. I mean, anyone who's ever put a talk together, which is probably most of this audience, knows that, it takes you hours and hours and hours to do it. And then you give your 20, 30, 60-minute presentation, and, that's kind of it. So, give the presentation at your national audience or locally, and then record it, and you can get much more kind of use out of it. Now, what do you do once you've made them? Well, there's a number of different ways you can distribute these recorded talks. You can obviously upload them to YouTube, because that's probably where you're watching this. You can make your own channel on YouTube, or you can use the pre-existing channels such as Raj Educators. This is something that you can contact me about. Go check it out, where we upload short educational talks. Radiopedia is another good site. You may have your own institutional departmental sites where you can upload these and store them. Obviously, they're going to have a smaller distributed audience there. And you can often upload these to multiple different sites. You can send them directly to residents or students via Google Drive or Dropbox. And then there's a bunch of other sites out there, many of which are free or have a fairly minimal cost depending on how much you use them, such as Vimeo or Google Drive or Screencast. And then I've come across something recently that looks interesting. I'm going to check it out more. If anyone's used it, please let me know, called PeerTube. PeerTube is sort of the YouTube alternative, particularly for education. It has no adverts. It looks really nice. You can have your own platform there that either you or your institution uses. So let's move on and let's show you the kind of detailed practicalities of how you actually do this. All right, so here I am in PowerPoint. I've made my cursor nice and big. That's something you might want to do, although as I'll show you in a minute, there is a little option within the PowerPoint recording that you can have a laser pointer. I quite often just sort of make my own cursor big, which you can do on your laptop as a default. And what you'll find is that under PowerPoint, there will be and this is the Mac version, but you'll have a very similar looking ribbon. In PC version, there's going to be a tab that says record, and here I am here. The options are going to be slightly different depending what version you have, but I think you can work it out from this. So there are a couple of options that you might want to just set up before you go in. One is you can decide if you're going to record from the beginning of your talk or from the particular slide you're on. And one super important thing to know about the new PowerPoint recording as opposed to older versions is that you can record this slide by slide. You can move around the sequences of the slides even after you've recorded. So that's great. You can put in new slides and record it. You can delete slides and it's not going to affect it until you save the MP4. And obviously you're going to have to re-record if you change things at that point. But it does mean that you can make some sort of, pretty easy edits. You don't have to start the whole thing over again. So you might want to start the beginning first of all, and then you're going to do from current slide as you edit things later on. The other thing you want to decide is, do you want your face showing there or not? So there's a little button called Cameo, and you can see here it's just brought down a little blank cameo here. It's also allows me to, let's get rid of that designer. It allows me to choose my source for what I want to record it from. And you can also have some options of, do you want this as a square or circle or, whatever fancy stuff you want to do here. And I'll show you that in a minute, and then I'll take it off because personally I hate having my face on it. And you can see there's a whole bunch of different options here. All right, let's just go over a few of the functions that we have within this. So looking on the top bar, first of all, you have your record button and also a pause. And then when you finished it, there'll be a stop button come up. You can bin any of the talks that you don't happen to like very easily. Here's your camera button. So I can put my camera on. Hi. And I'm going to take it off right now. You can also change your camera source there to a different one. And we have a choice of microphones. And then if you prefer to have presenter view rather than this view, you can just change it to that. I find it's a little busy for me, and I prefer to have just the teleprompter view. It's a little easier to work with. All right, so that's the top bar. Let's come down here to the bottom. We have a variety of different pens we use. I find this one is sort of nice and clear. We can obviously change colors, and we can annotate our slides as we go along. I like drawing a lot. I think it really helps highlight things for students. You can erase these individually, or you can just wipe out the whole lot using that little button down there. As I said, I either annotate or I use my cursor here. If I'm not annotating, I could take that off and just have my cursor. But if you bring up a right-click menu, you'll see that one of the options, the same as you do in regular PowerPoint, is to have a laser pointer. And if you prefer to use the laser pointer rather than one of the annotation tools or your own cursor, you can use that. I'm just going to take that off right here because I happen to prefer using my own ones or writing on things. Okay. All right, so let's start recording and see what happens. So we're going to click our button here. It's going to give us a countdown. And then I can just start talking about this workshop that I'm presenting on women's imaging, screening, and malignancy. And one of the things that you may notice is that in this top bar up here, we do have a little box that will give us our notes. It will give you the notes that you already in your slide, or you can just add some notes in to remind yourself about things when you're presenting. They don't have to be full notes here. When you want to navigate to another slide, you don't need to stop. You can just pause if you want to, but you don't have to. You can just go straight ahead using either this button down here, or you can use the right and left keys on your keyboard. And that's what I did just here. So we're going to go through our slides. We're going to present what we want about them. I'm just going to come up to a slide, and perhaps I'm talking about this one and I make some big flub. What am I going to do? I'm going to stop. I'm going to trash that one. And then I'm just going to start all over again recording that slide. When you have image slides that you want to be recording some annotations on, here's one for us to use. Let's do something a little darker here. I can do my annotations on, I can take them off, I can put different ones on, and so on. And I just like that kind of interactive response. All right, so once we're done with all of our slides, you can just stop the presentation. You can go back, listen to what you've done, recording some annotations on. Here's one for us to use. Check whether you like it, decide if you want to re-record it or not. And then we can go back out of this into PowerPoint. Now, if at this point I want to rearrange my slides, or I want to add slides or re-record them, I can. If you want to listen to your whole recording, just go back to the first slide and play it in presenter mode. So recording some annotations on. Here's one, and it will go through the whole talk. Let me show you a bit from this one. So here's the first the first slide I was recording then. Going to just go into slideshow. And then I can just start talking about this workshop that I'm presenting on women's imaging, screening, and malignancy. And one of the things that you may notice is that in this, and it's going to go through the whole thing. Okay. Once you're completely done, you want to export it. So we're going to come up here, File, Export, not Save. It's got to be Export. Select your MP4. I prefer MP4 because I think it's more, it uploads to more places than MOV, but you can do MOV. There's a couple of different options here in terms of compression and timings and things that you can select if you want. I find I just leave it all be. Export it. And then you are done. And that's really pretty much it. You'll see it takes a little while to save back here. So don't try and do anything with it until it's completely saved. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out and ask me.